Alright boys, I already got the engine cover off. That's pretty much all I did, I believe, up till now. Alright, I'm going to take you guys inside to show you some of the troubleshooting steps I've already done so I can read it off. Also, I did take off this thing too, which is just that front piece with an air intake. Okay, so here's the notes I've got. We have two codes. It's P0300 and P1273. I wrote down all the possible causes, which I found online, for both. Faulty spark plug, faulty ignition coil. These are in order of most likely. Clogged or faulty fuel injector, intake air leak, fuel injector harness opener shorted, ignition coils harness opener shorted, ignition coils circuit, poor electrical, insufficient cylinder compression, incorrect fuel pressure, leaking valve cover gasket, and valve cover ignition coil tube seals. Faulty air fuel sensor 1 bank 1, opener shorted AF sensor 1 bank 1 harness, poor electrical connection, fuel pressure, defective airflow meter, defective fuel injector. Okay, now when I had these two codes, I started out for P0300 and 1273. People said it's a fuel pressure problem if it's both of those codes. I replaced the air fuel sensor 1 bank 1 or bank 2, I don't remember which one, but I replaced one of those two sensors from a past code, and then as soon as that one was replaced, it just showed the next one. So let's say I replaced sensor 1 bank 2, then I got the code for sensor 1 bank 1 right after I replaced that one. It just changed the code, which was kind of interesting. And so I was back to square one after that. I already tested the intake air leaks with the propane test around all rubber hoses to see if the engine would rev, and I got no revving. So I ruled that out. As far as the fuel pressure problem, the first thing people said would be to replace the fuel pump, which I did, and no change. And it's not that the fuel pump isn't working, the fuel pump worked. It's a brand new pump and the car still started and drove. So it wasn't the fuel pump. And so if it's fuel pressure related, that just leaves potentially low fuel pressure cause, which could be fuel pressure regulator is faulty or fuel pump electrical feed too resistive. It could still be that, I suppose. But I decided to jump into defective fuel injector as my potential diagnosis. And so when I was looking into replacing the fuel injector, I saw you would replace just basically both fuel injector rails, which means a total of 6 fuel injectors along with the rails, which I just bought. But then since you have to rip apart the whole engine to do that, the top of the engine anyways, I figured I would also change the spark plugs, the ignition coils, the fuel injectors, and the valve cover and valve cover gasket, as well as that comes with the ignition coil tube seals built into the gasket, I believe. And we were having oil and white smoke sometimes leaking off the engine or on the back of the engine, so that's probably already a leaking valve cover gasket we already had. We've also had, besides these two codes, we've had a engine misfire, but that could also be faulty fuel injector. So just overhauling all of those things, I think, is the best thing to do. It wasn't that expensive for all the parts, and if I'm ripping apart the top of the engine, I might as well make everything new in there. So that's what we decided to do. I already replaced a sensor and a fuel pump and did the leak test, so I've been through a lot as it is. So that's where we're at. This comes off first. Okay. Okay. We're gonna disconnect the battery. This hose clamp right there flathead screwdriver, just turn it enough to loosen it, don't have to remove it entirely. Move our mass airflow sensor. Okay, that just pops right off. You can see right here, pops right off. You just gotta press in on the tab though. Press the tab and then pull. Comes right off. That was pretty easy. There's two clips right here. Just flip them outward, and that disengages this thing. Well, you have to wrestle with it a little bit to get it to come out of these two front clips. You just gotta wiggle it until you see it pop out. There we go. Boom! Got this whole thing out. Next to come off is this gray piece. It's called the throttle body connector. Pinch the tab and then pull. Okay, you gotta pinch the tab really hard. Maybe like 15 pounds of force, and then it pulls off easily. Alright, now we remove this blue connector right here. Yeah, you can see that. Pinch hard and then pull. There we go. Now this evap line, the one that goes all the way to the back, it's the center part, not the one that goes back to the intake. This whole thing is called the intake manifold slash plenum, P-L-E-N-U-M. It's hiding the back three spark plugs and ignition coils. We're trying to remove things that prevent us from getting this off. Alright, so that's off. That part was the middle intake. It was a evap hose, the middle one. We've got to take out, here's the throttle body. We got to take out this coolant line. Right here, you can see the clip we got to remove. And then one way back underneath. There it is. That's the other clip. So this one and this one. You gotta remove those two lines. It's the same procedure as before. You just gotta use a needle nose and pluck it. You gotta pinch the clamp and then pull it down. And then you gotta rip the hose off. You can twist the hose with a tool, and then that loosens it, and then you can pull it off by hand. Or you could just try to pull it off by hand, but I'm told that that's really hard. Alright, so with the channel locks, you can get it in there about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch from the end of where the rubber ends, and you pinch it and then you just twist back and forth, and that breaks it loose. Try to get it to rotate a good quarter of the way around a clock, and then it should pull off by hand after that. Yes, got it. Got it. Nice. So this is the next thing off right here. Yeah. All right. Now we got to take off this vacuum line and this vacuum line. We use the same trick with the pliers to break it. As far as breaking its invincible hold. I'm just turning it a total of about a 1/4 turn clockwise, and then it should pull right off. Breaking its hold, not breaking it. Boom! Moving these two bolts. This one's a 10 and this one's a 12. Probably put it in my room. Okay. I'm gonna return the bolts back to where they were, so we don't misplace, and we don't need to label. We don't need to worry about it. All right. So the next one is we got to remove this, and then there's one right here and one right here. They're all 12 millimeters. Oh, that's worth using a tool actually. I'm gonna get my automatic tool, after I crack them open, the tool will spin them out because there's a lot of spinning going on. For that one, I'm going to get an extension. After we removed these front three, and then this nut here, and this nut here, we were supposed to reach underneath here and find some way back in there, a pair of bolts that were facing this way, that were 12 millimeters. And I just touched each one of the bolt holes. There's one here, and there's one, let's see, one here and one here. Boom and boom. So they're about like 4 inches that way, and you have to reach behind blind and just find them with your tool. On my car, they were missing, which is fine with me. That means whatever mechanic last took this off, never put those back on. I'm cool with that because they're a pain. Now, once those are off, you're able to wiggle this thing over to some degree. There we go. You lift it up and then you rotate it, and then you can get your hands in here to access a pair of, there would be a hose on this and a hose on this, and you have to pinch off the clamps. Here was where that hose was. You can see the clamp. I had to pinch it off and pull it back, and then I had to yank this thing off. And the same thing for this hose, which was right here on there, and I had to pinch and pull off the clamp and then pull off the hose. So now we can remove the entire thing. Very carefully. So these are the ignition coils. Here. And we have to remove those. Those take a 10 millimeter socket. .5/8 spark plug socket. That one seemed to have like oil on it. On some of the top threads near the top. This one's loaded with oil on the whole thing. Look at this. It's got oil everywhere. I don't know if you can see it. But all the threads are oily on that center one in the back. So that could be something. This one's not oily, that's good. Alright, I'll do fuel injectors last. I'm going to change these valve covers and valve cover gaskets first. Alright, it's 10 millimeter, that's the tightest fit. Okay. Yep. Alright. Oh, there's one more. Goodness. I can't unscrew the oil cap by hand. Alright, go ahead. Uh-oh. Okay. Seems to have movement. Uh-oh. Yeah. Come get some. Alright, I want to be super careful though. We got this hose here that still is attached to, that goes to other valve cover. So, and I heard that that hose likes to tear super easily. I wonder, could we? I think we should unplug these and try to swing this whole thing this way and get it through the engine harness. If we unplug all the fuel injector connectors. So let's do that. We're pressing on the tab toward the toward the cab of the car. We're pressing in and then lifting out carefully. Okay, so now I think I should just take this hose off. Let me take it off. Alright, so right here I'm going to remove that hose. And I'm going to try the trick of moving it back and forth. Before I slide it off. Nice! We got it. We didn't break anything. Okay, that's big. Woo! Got it, boys. Boom. So it's pretty small, just inside the P. That's like an uppercase P. That's where they put it. Just from the front all the way to the back. Just about half an inch long. Well, about 3/4 of an inch long the bead is. So we got to clear that out. And then you can use RTV silicone or some other type of gasket making material. To form that bead. When you reinstall. You're supposed to scrape out the old bead as well. Oh, you know what? They also put about 1.25 to 1.5 inch bead right along the seam too, I'm seeing. So that's what we got to do. So from here, squeeze down and then around like that. So it goes all the way up to like right here, and then you can see some trace pieces of it all the way through here, through the front of the P, and then curved around the P as well, maybe stopping right around here. So I got the razor blade, now I can get in here and scratch away at the silicone you're supposed to remove. Wow, the whole outside of the P, I just realized, is made of silicone. Look at this, I didn't even realize this before. So all of this whole ledge is silicone that I'm pressing against. You can see I'm peeling it up. So they got it really loaded up in that corner to a big degree. Nothing wants to come out of here, that's for sure. Oh, I just wanted to show you guys what I'm doing real close up like that. my real base scratch on most yesterday. Just had not being boring. Just like I switched it. I'm gonna do a formal update soon. There's a lot of activity. I have updated you guys on. That's how it was. Pretty much. And like that. Okay. That's what I scraped off anyways, so that's how I'm putting it back on. Alright. Now to put on the new valve cover. Making sure the gasket stays stuck in there. This came with the gasket already pressed in, by the way. You can see it on the bottom. I'm not going to pull it out to show you right now. You'll just have to trust me, but I saw one of the edges kind of popping out. I'm just making sure by feel it's pressed in on all the corners into its little groove. there it goes, popping out again. Alright, I guess we got it in place. I wonder if the time I overfilled the oil, I put too much oil in by like a whole quart. If that blew out one of these seals or something, and then that's how the misfire started over time. I'm just doing it super gentle. I'm not torquing it down yet. I'm gonna hand torque it without a torquing tool, but by feel, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 you torque down first. Right now I'm just doing them all like 1 foot-pound by feel. Just barely anything, barely squeezing this trigger. Alright. Now I'm going to click it onto the lock feature. You snap this downward, and now it's all manual. Alright, so you're supposed to start out of these 4 center ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're supposed to start up top left and put this to 15 foot-pounds. No, it's 20 foot-pounds. So you have to imagine you're moving 20 pounds of force, like you're weightlifting, with your right hand. And no more than that. I can picture what it's like to lift 20 pounds. That's what I put pressure-wise on it. You gotta close your eyes and picture 20 pounds. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. We can put the oil cap back on. All right, so I got the spark plug on my 5/8 spark plug socket. I checked the tip just to see if it looks like it's been bent up at all, and they're all consistent on all of them that I bought, so no damage in shipping. I'm not going to use a spark plug gap tool. Right. Now I'm gonna put it in lock mode, and I'm gonna by hand picture 20 foot-pounds. Okay. Happy with that. Uh-oh. Okay. Now, ignition coils. Ten millimeter is the one. All right, I'm gonna plug these back in. I'm gonna put some more tape around this group of wiring. I'm not happy with them leaving that bare like that. All right, that's nice. I guess I could put this back on. Okay. Okay. We got to remove this hose from here. Transfer it. All right, it wiggles pretty easily. It should pull right off. Seemed to pull right off fine. All right, it sat itself down okay. Everything seems okay. All right, now this one I can't access by 10 millimeter. I need a wrench, I guess. Come on. Got it. I had to switch down to a smaller socket size for this. With the different driver, you can see that it's just smaller to get in. It doesn't have that beefy hub. I guess this is 1/4 inch driver set rather than 3/8, and it was just able to give me enough clearance to get past this part right here, which is kind of in the way of this particular bolt. Alright, I had to cheat and use a wrench to pry it up a little bit. It was down on there good. Okay, this is good. Got it. Look at that, boom. Look at that. It comes with the new purge valve right there. We're good. That's nice. Okay, so now we're supposed to clean the heck out of this thing. This is gonna be not fun at all. I'll just show you guys the pattern is the same. The pattern's the same here. You can see they squeezed from here all the way down and around, and then there's a big gooping load in there, and then all around here you can see where it squeezed out. From here to here you can see a lot of the extra RTV. Maybe even some might be around here, but a lot gathered there. So that means they just filled it from here to here pretty thick, and it's squeezed out there and it's squeezed out up here. So that's how you do it on both sides. Back here you can't even see, but it's going to be identical in this corner as well. This time I'm using a needle nose pliers to grab at the RTV and pull while I cut with an X-Acto knife, just to get the bulk of it away. I can come through with my other razor blade after, I guess, but it seems like I just need something to help me yank it off. It doesn't want to come off very easily. Yes, look at that. You can get it off with the X-Acto knife and this thing way easier than without. Yeah, that's such a good idea. Check it out. I put this makeup mirror right here, and I can actually see in this corner to clean it of all the gunk. We're ready to RTV now this thing in the corners and put on the new valve cover. Alright, we RTV'd it. I'll show you guys a close-up of that. Let's see. There we go. And I did that on both sides. Both corners. That was the front corner, I did it on the back corner too. Alright, I think I got it lined up fine. Alright, here it's going to handle. What the heck? We busted this thing in half. Oh, that is... That's the worst news I've ever heard in my life. This one we broke in half too now. Okay guys, so I did a little research and basically since the bolt near the corner is the most important, they were saying, missing this bolt and then the one right here is most likely not going to be a leak, because there's a bolt here and a bolt here, and then these two can hold down the pressure even for the center part. So, and they said the oil's not really pressurized in these valve covers, it just splashes around, and so the likelihood of this leaking is very low. Probably on the backside it'd be higher, but the leak would probably be pretty minimal. So I think, and then the leak, the consequence of it would just be dripping on the ground, I think. This is parked in the road anyways. So I don't think it's going to be a big enough issue to justify me trying to drill this out or whatever. I can still do that though at a future date, you know, some years down the road. Right now is not a good time in my life. The check engine light should not be affected by this at all. It'll just be a little bit of dripping here and there. And this car is not even going to be driven that much anyways. It's a backup car, really. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it with that leak on it. Alright, so I'm just going to connect the hoses then, starting with this hose. There we go. And we'll get this off of here. By the way, this is the PCV valve, and it came with the new one. This little hexagon shaped thing is the valve itself that screws in here. So we're getting a new PCV valve automatically, since the new one came with and already mounted on the new valve cover. Okay, that popped on real easily. Let's see if we can get the strap now. Nice. Why is this turning? They sent it to me loose. What the heck? Why wouldn't they have it on tight? Oh no, that's not good. What the heck? It's just turning and turning and turning. Did they strip out the threads or something? Or I'm doing it. All right. So basically, if you try to turn this with the tool, the threads jump. So that's kind of weird. It's like I'm ruining the threads if I do it more than hand tight, or barely anything past hand tight. And that kind of, it's so weird, because that was the issue with these two, which I didn't mention. I want to mention here. This is supposed to be like 5 pounds, 5 foot-pounds, 5 pounds at a foot away. I was doing 20, so I was off on that. I did a lot of research and I found out these are notorious for breaking off. They're very weak bolts with a thin stem, and they always break off for people. It's super common. And there's all these videos about how to try to drill it out and remove it, because it happens to people all the time. So some people use a tool where you just turn it like that, where there's no actual thing, because they don't want to break it, and they said you don't have to make it that tight. So yeah, what I did is very common. Anyways, I guess I got to be careful not to over tighten the PCV valve too. Hopefully it won't leak. I guess it won't. I don't know. Man, now would be the perfect time to mess with the heater core hosing here. If I wanted to flush the heater core, it's finally accessible right now. Wow. But that's not what we're doing right now, even though our heater core is, or our heater is plugged up in this car. But we can't get into all that right now. I gotta get this thing back together ASAP. Okay, so spark plugs and ignition coils is next. Holy cow, cracked that plastic. I'm having the worst luck with breaking things, man. What the heck? This is stressful for me. It should be okay though, but it's just like, I don't want to be breaking things. The power of the tool cracked it. These things are just way more sensitive than you'd think. For car parts, I don't know. I'm just surprised that everything's so brittle. Alright, that's done. Okay. Next thing I wanted to try to do today is the fuel injectors. Actually, I'm going to slip this new washer, or what's it called? A gasket over this part now. Like so. And I'll close that back up. Okay, let's continue moving this last electrical connector from the, oh, this one too. Okay, so all the fuel injector electrical connectors are off. Okay. Looks like it's just 4 bolts, and then this whole thing will lift up in one piece. We can snap all these out. This is going to be really easy. The 4 bolts are here, 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 and here. Okay. So let me try to find the right socket for it. It's 12 millimeter. All right, that's one down. Two down. Three down. Whew. 4 down. Okay. So this whole thing's supposed to just lift out. Oh wow, it's already budging. Wow. Popped out. Okay, now we'll pop out the front side. This one doesn't want to pop out as much. We just gotta force it though, because it's just held in by some rubber. Holy smokes. I don't like that angle. Huh. This thing's just stubborn. Alright, so I just lifted, using the front valve cover as a fulcrum. I just pressed down on 2 hockey sticks, which just lifted up 2 children's hockey sticks. Okay, so I'll move this here. This is steadily dripping gas everywhere. So one of the fuel injectors stayed in, oddly. Okay, and so you can see how the clip works. It's kind of a benefit of this. This clip will just slide out and then just come right off like that. And then it just pops back on. You can see some little washers left behind right here that go onto the fuel injector screw down points. Let's make sure we don't lose those. One fell off of here. Put that back on. Okay. It's probably, it might be good to just let this stuff air out because there's fuel everywhere now. One spark and I've got a fire. There's a lot of junk around where the fuel injectors seat, like in their cups. It's filthy. We want to clean that out carefully with Q-tips. Yeah, the O-rings were left behind in here. Alright, this is an O-ring removal tool. So, we'll be able to scoop that O-ring out. This is the O-ring that went on the top end of the fuel injector. And here it is. Oddly, it doesn't match the O-ring that was blue on the first fuel injector we removed. And there's one here too. Tons of junk on it. I'm using rubbing alcohol as a cleaning tool on Q-tips just to clean out everything. Looks like there's some other little O-ring flattened version that was jammed down in here. Left behind surely from the fuel injector. You can see these are getting real dirty, especially look at that. So it's good we're cleaning these before we install new fuel injectors. That's probably, oh, you know what, maybe when they installed it they left it dirty and they just pushed it in and they didn't put white lithium grease on it, which you're supposed to do on the O-rings, and so it wouldn't release. between the junk in there and the lithium grease, it wouldn't release because the mechanics did it wrong. They were lazy. Story of our lives when we use mechanics besides me. I might not be experienced, but at least I'm thorough. So here's that other O-ring. Okay. Well, when I say I'm thorough, sometimes I'll make a educated shortcut, like not drilling out the valve cover, that bolt that broke off. So something like that is just a big job. Cleaning these and putting some grease on is not a big job. They should have done that, is what I'm saying. They definitely charge enough at like $200 per hour to do it right, you know. I'll clean out the back side. Look how dark that got. So dirty. We're just sticking it in the fuel injector hole and spinning it around, visually inspecting to get any loose debris out. Alright, so we're going to white lithium grease this. Okay. You got it both sides because there's O-ring here and here. And then, well, it's ready to go, but we gotta figure out which one of these we're gonna put it in, etc. Okay, so oh wow, look at that. You just part these two wings outward and then it slides this way. So I just pinch outward or spread it and then it slides right off. And then this should just slide off. Nice. That left an O-ring behind. This blue one, you can see it. I'm just gonna pull it out like that. Set it aside. Bunch of fuel's coming out. I'm just gonna be careful not to make sparks, I guess. I mean, I could just leave and come back when it's like aired out, but I'm not too worried about it. Okay. I mean, it should air out pretty fast within like 10 minutes. I'm just going to keep going slowly, carefully not to make any sparks. Pinching out and then sliding it out. There we go. No problem at all. Alright, I'm gonna put on one. Nice. That didn't go on right. Okay, I pushed it in too far. Okay, that time it worked. There's actually a little slot that it has to slide onto. It's like a narrower part of the cylinder that it slides into, and then it's in properly. So if you push it in all the way, the clip won't go on right. You got to push it in all the way minus like 2 millimeters, and that 2 millimeters has that narrower part. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Right here, there's a narrower area, a channel that the clip needs to slide into. So that needs to be exposed. It can't be pushed all the way into the rail. That's what I did at first. It was all the way into the rail. Okay. Look at this little baby. You little sun tanning baby. You little grunter. Oh yeah. Papa's in a beano. Whoa. Hey, yeah. Yeah. Don't make noises at Papa. These come with these little protective caps on the ends. You just pull them off gently. And then I'm just spraying it with a little bit of white lithium grease just to cover the O-rings. Barely pressing down at all so it doesn't get everywhere. Okay. They're all in. I'm ready to install now the whole rail. Maybe bolting it down is what's supposed to really press it in. This black washer came off the left rear. I have to slide it back in. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I thought they'd seat in further, but I mean, that's where they're being held, so I guess I did it fine. I was trying to push them in deeper than they go. Wow, this one has a different kind of plug, so this plug has been replaced before. That's interesting. Wow. Wait, never mind. It's from something else. Okay, I take that back. I try to keep this thing covered at all times. This intake. Okay, here we go. I'm just using some compressed air to spray out any type of loose stuff that might be in these connector areas. How will I know if injectors are fully inserted? Well, when I bolted it down, they were like assured of being fully inserted because the bolts are holding them to a certain level, and they'd be like bent or something if it weren't fully inserted with it bolted down fully. So I'm convinced it is fully inserted. All right, guys. So I have to take over watching the baby, so that's all I can do for today, but that was a lot of progress for today. Awesome. Peace out, guys. All right, so here's our fuel pressure regulator, and we need to replace it. It's here because that's one of the possible causes of our check engine light. All right, it's a 10mm socket. Okay. That popped off. Now we just popped the new one on. Wow, that was so easy. Now that's the easiest job I've ever done, ever, on a car. Watch me drop the bolt into the engine and then or cross thread. It's not lining up. It doesn't fit. Look at that. Doesn't line up. I spoke too soon. So I'm gonna need to drill out this hole that way, toward that way. Alright guys, I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. I got a little mini problem that I'm fixing. Okay, so I noticed this thing was badly rusted. You can see all the rust I got to fall off of it. There. It's just flaking off everywhere, but it's looking pretty clean now. I'm just using this brush to remove that. This one I have not cleaned, and you can see how bad it is. Let me flip this. So you can see how bad this thing looks. Look at that. That could have been causing a small leak. And that could have been causing some codes too. For the O2 sensor codes, reading lean. Now we did do a propane test on all the hoses, but maybe these connections I didn't spray propane on thoroughly enough, or maybe it was kind of just a slow leak, enough to cause the code, but not enough to rev the engine when I spray the propane at it. I don't know. But this is a good catch that I'm doing right now. This could be a big difference maker. I also cleaned off real good a bunch of junk that was on here. This corner you can see I didn't clean that good, but I did wipe it and scratch it with a flathead screwdriver, just getting rid of as much of the gunk on here as we can, because we want this to be a good seal, and that could also cause some kind of lights if we're not careful. So little things like that I'm looking for before I reinstall this thing. These are super clean. This and this. This bad boy is a little bit dirty too. afraid to look at these. But no, this is plastic, so that'll probably be plastic too. This one is going to be metal, but we never had to take this off. I'm not going to mess with it. So this is one we cleaned, and this one, that's already clean. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys that before I did the installation. Showed you just a little bit extra detail of what's behind the scenes. Alright, so just put it in at 45 so that you can still access back in here in the side to put on the brake booster line and the PCV valve line. Alright, now the brake booster one. Got it? Okay. Now I just got to put the clamp on it. We're ready to slide the manifold on now the rest of the way. Okay, now